Oh, good. You've sufficiently cursed Game 3 tonight. Thanks, David. Welcome, Rico, back. The band is back together. We are a Lego set that has been traveling in the bottom of different vehicles, but we're all reunited. We're back in the box.
And brother, you got nothing to worry about. 3-0.
Porzingis is dead, and we're on to Game 3. Okay. Listen, I know people.
I don't know if Porzingis is dead or not. I've never seen.
I never heard of the injury before.
I read the whole thing. I was like, so is he all right?
It's serious, but it's day to day. It's something I've never heard of, but it's day to day. I don't know, man. And look, nobody here cares. I mean, the only fans who have been able to get nervous about a game are Lions fans because it's the only good team we have. So me saying I'm nervous for tonight, it doesn't really resonate. Plus, everybody here hates the Celtics. Respect. I don't expect you to feel different. My point is no one cares. And in fact, I know many of you probably stood and applauded when Porzingis died. Man, also, respect. I'm not mad about it.
I cared.
No, you don't.
I do. I want you to be happy.
You want Kyrie to take this.
No. I want Kyrie to get to Game 5. I need Kyrie to have one game because then he could say, I told you I was coming back, and then you bury him in Game 5.
He's such a loser.
And you make Kyrie. Him watch you celebrate at home.
I know. In those little moccasin shoes or whatever he's wearing. But no, look, I know that doesn't play here. So let's start out with something that may not play here either. I'd like to talk about your Tigers for a minute. Not about last night's game. You know, you win, you lose. That's what mediocre teams do. I'm not going to panic or freak out. They're still 2.5 out of the wild card because all these teams suck. So we move on to tonight's game and another chance to, get in the win column. ESPN wrote a piece about what your team's got to do before the trade deadline. And I thought it was fascinating because it was a power rank. The Tigers were 19th. And not even ESPN knew what to do. Basically, they were categorizing teams. Hey, here's what you should be targeting. Here's what you should be getting, or here's what you should be selling. I'm not going to reading on the radio is awful radio. But they basically are like, the Tigers. Sure. No idea. So they have Flaherty who's expiring, Canna who's expiring. And it got me thinking about something. The experts, Rico, they don't really know what to do. And we've had so many conversations with our listeners about what you want to do or what. If I put you in charge of the Tigers, and let's say the phone really starts ringing a month from today, July 12th, and you have two opportunities here. And I ran this by Stoney yesterday, and that's why I want to run it by you. You have to be all in or all out. There is no in between. Do not call up and ask me, but what about isms? Do not offer me different solutions. It's all in or all out. And let me explain the two scenarios. Okay. And then, Rico, you're Scott Harris. So all in is simple. I'm not trading Jack Flaherty. I'm 2.5 games out of the wild card. I'm not trading Mark Canna. I'm 2.5 games out of the wild card. And while I might not be able to be a huge buyer, I'm going to pick up the phone. Like, I'm tired of losing. I have to deliver my fan base something. We haven't gotten to the playoffs in a decade. I'm all in. We are going to make a run at this because the Twins and the Jays and the Rangers and the Red Sox, it's all vomit. They're all garbage. We're going to try. Or you're all out. Just sell. Team stinks regardless of the standings. The downside, your summer sucks again. And you move to year 11 with no playoffs. And you just keep on keeping on, as Frank the Tank once said. And you just
keep on trucking.
You just keep on trucking there. Look, I want to know if they sit 2.5 games out on July 12th, no matter how flawed they are, ESPN couldn't pick a direction for this team. Because if you decide to go all in, remember what I said to you 2 days ago. Three-headed monster. Short series, you got the pitching, nobody'd be excited to play you. You're very similar to the Pittsburgh Pirates. So if you're all in, you're banking on that. If you're all out, summer's over. Pull the plug. Game over. So they have to pick a direction. It can't be one and not the other. It would take a very unique thing to be like, well, Michael, I'm trading Flaherty but keeping Canna. No. All in
or all out.
Or all out. I want you to play the role of ESPN's daddy, Rico. Rico. 248-539-9797.
So do I get to think like myself, or do I need to think like Scott Harris?
No, I'm asking you to think for yourself.
Okay.
And I'm asking people to think for themselves. None of us can predict what they're going to do.
I thought you wanted me to kind of think like Scott Harris. Here's my thing. If it were me, you're asking me, I would be all out. I would sacrifice this summer because even with the short rotation, I have to be honest with myself and say I don't think this team that can win a World Series. I know, just get in the playoffs and anything can happen. You've had World Series champions who are wild card teams. I understand all of that. But realistically speaking, you just look at last night. You could score a bunch of runs and then you scored nothing. So even with this great three-man rotation, you can't. I would go all out, try to get the everyday players, the guys who can score runs and can play defense and not make little league errors, and then come back in another season and try to go for this whole thing. This year, yeah, you could. It's short-term versus long-term thinking. I'm a long-term thinker. I would rather go all out, sacrifice this summer. Nobody will care about this in 2 months when the Lions start up anyway. And I'm going to go for the gusto and really bring in some players and really, really fortify this team.
David. Kenny, I'm sorry. Kenny ripped the microphone from David and said, "You're not talking." He was like that guy with the superintendent the other day, David, shoving him out of the way. There's going to be no more. Kenny, ESPN couldn't decide. July 12th, you're 3 games out of the wild card, right where we are right now. All in, all out.
So Rico is right, and this team is not a World Series ready team. So I probably lean all out, just considering the fact that based on what Scott Harris said, they're not going to be buyers at the deadline. It doesn't seem like if you're all in, you're a buyer at the deadline. True or false? It doesn't seem like that's the direction of this team.
No, hold on. Let me clear it for you. So all in just means I have 2 Cy Young caliber pitchers, and I'm keeping them both. I have Mark Canha, who may not be special, but on this dreadful offensive team, he's a important piece. It just means I'm hanging on. I'm forgoing the ability to get some B-rate prospect for Flaherty, and I was never going to trade Scooble. That is what you're saying. Kenny, do you give it a run as long as they're 2? Look, the Twins can't win games. Your Blue Jays, who are your B squad, your split squad. Tiger fan first, Jays fan second. Don't ask me why. I'm pretty sure Kenny's grandparents were in a maple syrup conglomerate in Ontario. The point is, Kenny, you just decide I want my summer and I want my daiquiris.
A little bit dabbing in hair, yeah.
It's it, yeah.
I got that reference.
You just, you want your summer.
I want my summer, and if we always say with this Tigers team, this type of winning is not sustainable. So if they're in this position July 12th, what did you say?
Yeah, month from today.
If they're still sustaining this level of win-loss, win a couple, lose a couple, be right there, I'm all in. Why not? I want to enjoy my summer. I'm giving love a chance.
Okay, so now again, the downside would be, and again, 248-539-9797 is, that's back-to-back years. You've gotten nothing for one of the better available expiring pitchers on the market. The Erod thing is a thing. Now, if you go for it and you don't make it, I don't think anyone, myself included, would have a right to criticize them. But the parameters I've set forth are you're not 4.5 out or 5.5 out. You're 2.5 or 3 out. You are in the exact same place or a little better. I think it's going to be very hard for this franchise to explain to this customer base why they just traded Jack Flaherty and why they just traded Mark Canha. That's going to be very difficult 2 games out of the wild card.
It would be difficult, Mike, if you try to sugarcoat it. But if you just come out and I think speak the honest to God truth and say, guys, we're trying to get World Series ready, not just make the last wild card ready. There's a big difference of barely getting into the playoffs or giving yourself a legitimate shot to win the whole thing.
But if you haven't made it in a decade, I think there is a difference. And Rico, you're right. As a Braves guy or a Yankees guy, you're right. It's easier to say unplug Nona. This is different. This is totally different.
I thought it was the toaster. No, it was
Unplug the toaster.
the toaster. No, it was
Unplug the toaster.
And that's why I'm leaning all in because Rico,
You always do.
you were the one that told
Happy
me.
David's Day.
Sorry. Please.
You were the one that told me a week ago, it's the playoffs, man. We haven't been there in 10 years. We are that close. I'm all in.
Think how important
in.
Think how important it was for the Lions to go to Green Bay and win that game 2 years ago. Knowing they couldn't make the playoffs, but it sent a real message, right? Mm-hmm. And the Lions as a franchise, I think we all believe they deserve to be in that year. Like, Rico, at a certain point, we got to offer people a belief structure that things are better.
Okay, but if let's just say they go all the way to the end of the season, they win their final game, but somehow it's like the Lions and they miss out. Are we happy and saying they're so close, or do we feel like we did with the Wings? Where the Wings were the same thing this year?
I think for me, because it's Scott Harris's second year, I'd be able to be happier. Look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you're getting a top 50 or top 75 or maybe even a top 100 prospect for Jack Flaherty. You're not. He's an expiring arm. Go and look at what the Brewers got for Corbin Burns last year. But would I want to give Scott Harris a chance to have a bite at the apple, to show us how smart he is? Yes. But Rico, if you're telling me I was able to talk baseball with my listeners, or listeners out there right now on another beautiful day are able to go to day games down the stretch where the game matters, I know the fan in me is coming out where I say to you, I will eschew all of my baseball prospectus, all of my fan graphs, and I'll go, you know what? It's been so long that is it really that hurtful if we don't get a B-list prospect for Jack Flaherty and we just go? I wanted to ask the people that because ESPN can't give you an answer. No. They're saying, hey, it's a weasel, it's a wazzle.
Right.
It's in the wind. 248-539-9797. We'll get with the people. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. I even have a fun football blitz for Rico a little later. New faces, new places.
Oh, yeah, this must have been fun. Like, I got a blitz. No,
I have a blitz.